If you want to understand who and what the church is, the emphasis belongs elsewhere, on the one who calls us the church, on the one who summons us to be the church. The emphasis belongs in our triune God. In other words, Joseph Small is telling us, if we want to better understand what it means to be the church, don't look at what we've created and what we now call the church, but look at what God created and calls the church to be. First time we see the word church in the Bible is Matthew 16:18. And this is Jesus. He introduces us to the concept. Jesus looks to Peter, Petros, the rock, right? Jesus looks to Peter and says, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." Notice the my church. There's something about ownership in there that Jesus lays claim. Next time we hear it is a couple chapters later in Matthew 18:17. Jesus is explaining how to deal with difficult people. I don't know why he would say that. No one is ever difficult in the church, but this is where he goes. He says, approach them, go with someone if you need to, but do it in love and do it fairly. And if they're not listening to you, he says, take it to the church. Tell the church, let the church address the situation. There's something in there about the church dealing with communal life, sharing life together, right? And really, that's it. That's all we get from Jesus, from God directly. That's all we get, this direct talk about the church. We get 2 mentions of it in Matthew, that's it, 16, 18, those chapters. And then after that, a lot happens. If you don't remember the story, a lot happens after that, right? You have this arrest and trial and crucifixion, then you have a cross and death and march and tomb sealed and then rolled away, and then you have resurrection, and then you have ascension, you have Pentecost. A lot of stuff happens after that, right? A lot of stuff is going on after that. And a lot of this happens before we ever hear the word church again. All this stuff is taking place and we still have not heard the word church again. In fact, it's 3 more chapters after the Pentecost story that we first come across the word again, church, in our text. Next time it shows up is Acts chapter 5, and we find the narrator, first time, not Jesus, the narrator describing the whole assembly gathered there as the church. First time anyone else ever called us the church. We didn't create the word church. It seems like we didn't even feel comfortable using the terminology of church until a lot of stuff happened all around us. And so it's no wonder why we run into problems when we try to describe the church or why we are the church to other people, right?